Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
This is the story of Brianna McKoy, age 23, the daughter of veteran music selector Ricky Trooper, who was fatally shot by her boyfriend and the father of her child, Derrick Francis, age 41. Derrick, who had been in a relationship with Brianna, lost his mind, got upset during a domestic dispute and then shot her dead before fleeing the scene. A national manhunt had to be conducted by the Bridgeport and other different agencies in order to apprehend Derrick Francis. Hello and welcome to Twisted Crimes. Subscribe and hit the like button for more stories.
A mother's plea for justice tonight, 1 week after her daughter was shot to death in what police are calling a tragic case of domestic violence.
This story will be taking us to the city of Bridgeport, Connecticut. Bridgeport is the most populous city in the U.S. state of Connecticut. Bridgeport is renowned for its public park system, which has led to its official nickname as the Park City. Bridgeport offers a wealth of attractions, majestic shoreline parks, fascinating museums, regional baseball, hockey, festivals, and national musical acts. Brianna Destiny McKoy was born on September 22, 1999. Her father was the veteran music selector Ricky Trooper. Born in St. Mary, Jamaica, Ricky Trooper is a veteran reggae and dancehall sound selector. Brianna was the love of his life. They were very close to each other. Her father would never miss any of her birthday even though he lived in Jamaica. He called her the apple of his eye. Brianna was a native of Jamaica but lived most of her life in the United States. She resided in Bridgeport, Connecticut before this sad incident. Brianna was said to be a very lovely, sweet, and kind person. She had a very great personality which made a lot of people like her.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody?
Brittany Harris said although her cousin worked as a bottle server, she had a reserved personality. She's very genuine, she's kind, she's loving, her laugh, every single time, it keeps playing back in my head, she said.
In the world blind. Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
Brianna would end up dating a man named Derrick Francis, age 41. It was like any other relationship that had its ups and downs. Brianna ended up getting pregnant and they were looking forward to having the baby. She ended up having the baby really early and they didn't think the child would make it, but he pulled through at the end, making their bond very special. She took care of her son, loved him so much, did all she could for him at any point in time. Her child was the love of her life.
Hi. Hi.
Back to her relationship, things were not that great with the father of her child Derrick, but instead of trying to fix things, he acted very immature, even though he was really older than her. At a point she got tired and tried to move on without him. Tragedy struck the north end of Bridgeport on the morning of Thursday, April 6, 2023, when citizens of a local condominium complex reported hearing gunshots. During a domestic dispute at her Coachlight Square condominiums at 333 Vincelette Street, Derrick lost it and decided to solve the minor issue by shooting dead Brianna in the presence of her infant child before he fled the scene of the crime. Patrol officers arrived on scene and located the unresponsive female who appeared to have been shot to death. Medical personnel quickly arrived at this location and pronounced the victim deceased. The victim was identified as 23-year-old Brianna McKoy. She had been fatally shot by Derrick. Police tried to locate Derrick, but he was long gone. A national manhunt ensued thereafter. The Bridgeport police issued a statement requesting the public's assistance in locating Derrick Francis, the alleged perpetrator of Brianna's murder.
We are learning new details this afternoon about the murder of a 23-year-old Bridgeport woman yesterday. The police chief now says that this was a domestic violence incident. The suspect remains at large. News 12 Connecticut's Lauren Fabrizi has the latest on the investigation.
It's always been seen as the more desirable part of Bridgeport to live in.
Ed Donahue has lived in the north end of Bridgeport for more than 20 years.
All the stores you need are right there.
But yesterday, a much different scene than Donahue is used to. This condo complex on Vincelette Street was filled with detectives. The police chief says a 23-year-old woman was murdered there in a domestic violence incident.
23? 23 is like you're not even started with life. That's the saddest thing you can imagine.
Police were called to the complex around 11:30 in the morning. When officers arrived, they found Brianna McKoy shot to death inside one of the condos. Police say they've obtained an arrest warrant for 41-year-old Derrick Francis. He remains at large and is believed to be armed and dangerous. Police say Francis is 5'8" and 170 pounds. He has black hair and brown eyes and is known to frequent the north end of Bridgeport and the Bronx.
It's just heartbreaking that a young life has been lost.
As for yesterday's murder, police are asking anyone with information on Francis's whereabouts to call 911 immediately.
My hope is to grab him up quick, and I will say a prayer for the girl.
The incident left many in shock and saddened by the loss of such a young life. Her father, Ricky Trooper, the popular Jamaican entertainment figure, expressed his grief on Instagram.
All the people want to show me love and, send condolences to me and the family through that trying time. I just want the people know say, yo, bonafide, respect all I want and thanks to the love, but it hard for answer so much phone calls and messages. It's like at the first, my phone.
He was able to attend his daughter's funeral service in Bridgeport, Connecticut, after being granted a compassionate visa almost 13 years after his U.S. visa was revoked in 2010.
All right, I'm there, man. Hush, man.
Come on in. Come in. Go on in.
Sean, White, Bernard. Again, after he renders this solo, everybody stand, except the family. The family desire to stand, you may do so.
The funeral took place at Grace Cathedral of Peace, with the interment following at Lawncroft Cemetery in Fairfield. The focus shifted to Derrick after the ceremony. The police considered him armed and dangerous.
A mother's plea for justice tonight, 1 week after her daughter was shot to death in what police are calling a tragic case of domestic violence. News 12's Frank Recchia has the story.
She had a kind heart. She always liked to help people.
The mother of 23-year-old Brianna McKoy breaking down today.
I just feel lost. I don't even know what to do.
While looking back on the life of her daughter, sharing photos that chronicle a short life, but one she says was filled with promise. Brianna giving birth 16 months ago to a son, Xander Francis, whose grandmother says was at the center of Brianna's world.
He wasn't even expected to live, and she took excellent care of him to the point where he's now, and he was her pride and joy.
It was a week ago that the mom says this man, 41-year-old Derrick Francis, who she says was the father of Brianna's baby, fatally shot her daughter and then fled, triggering a nationwide manhunt.
I don't even know if I believe it.
The family urging the public to assist authorities in getting justice for Brianna by helping them track down her alleged killer.
Please help the police with any given information.
The backdrop for the killing, a usually peaceful community, no neighbors say, for being close-knit and quiet.
Unbelievable that this would happen here at the Couchlight Square condos. Everybody's just saddened about this whole situation.
He is known to frequent Bridgeport's North End and the Bronx, New York, making law enforcement spend more of their resources there. The search for him involved multiple law enforcement agencies in addition to Bridgeport police. On April 18th, almost 2 weeks after the shooting, Bridgeport police confirmed Derrick Francis was taken into police custody after fleeing from a vehicle during a traffic stop in Ohio. According to Bridgeport police, Solon officers pulled Francis over during a motor vehicle stop, but he jumped out of the vehicle and ran. He was quickly detained after a bit of hide and seek. Officers said they found a loaded handgun inside the vehicle and that Francis is now facing additional firearm charges in Ohio. He is now in the custody of Solon and Cuyahoga County Police in Ohio as a fugitive from justice. He will be extradited back to Connecticut where he will be charged with the murder of Brianna McKoy. Francis is being held on a $3 million bond. At least 40 people lit candles in her honor on Fairfield Avenue in front of a screen, which displayed photos of McKoy within a heart. McKoy's mother, Camille Prince, cried as the crowd shouted, "I love you, Bree," and released dozens of pink and blue balloons into the night sky. A GoFundMe page has also been created to support McKoy's child, Xander. We hope Brianna McKoy gets the justice she deserves soon enough. A silly ending which could have been avoided by someone who was supposed to be matured enough to handle situations like this. Our sincere condolences to the friends and families of Brianna McKoy. May Brianna's memory be a blessing for her family and for all who knew her, and may her life and death be an inspiration and a turning point towards justice and increased protection for domestic abuse survivors. Please stay safe out there and see you guys in the next video.